1991. And my significant other and I have a 3-year-old boy. We're living in Los Angeles, and we've hit that crossroad. And I guess if we reference the hero's journey, we're aware that there's a call to adventure, and it's going to take us away from each other, but we love each other very much. So it's that delicate moment when you know that you have to part from someone you love with all your heart, and that you are committed to each other to stay loving, and in our case, good parents, and yet it's that separation part that can bring out the demon in the room. This is a happy ending for us because 25, 30 years later, we pulled it off. That intention, that seed landed, and we are a family, and we do all our holidays together with all our husbands and wives and their children and our children and their cousins' children. But on this particular year, and it's a Sunday, we have this ritual that we do with a bunch of hooligans and ruffians from Texas. We're all actors, directors, writers, designers, wannabe filmmakers, and we like to gather on Sundays, and we go to that softball park over there off Venice Beach near Marina del Rey, and we do our thing. And on this particular Sunday, David, my partner, and I are in separate teams. It will soon be reality that we will be in separate teams, but on this day, that's what happens. And David is getting ready to bat, and we all know that he's a fast, high hitter and home run, so everybody's like, oh, it's David, everybody get back, everybody get back. But I'm pitching, and my instinct is to move forward towards him. You've played this game before. And so, as I do that, I pitch, but David does something that surprised him because normally he doesn't hit this way. He hits it really hard. It's a long drive, and it goes right into my forehead. Oh. Yes. And this requires some acting, okay? Well, you know, just because I have a couple degrees in it, you know. So. But anyway, as I pitch it, you know, it's like a, and then I'm down. At least that's how it looks to you if you were watching, but that's not what's going on with me. When I pitch it and it hits that bat, suddenly it's like, you know what I'm talking about? It is moving so slow. And I am moving so slow with it that suddenly, as it comes to my forehead, I hear myself say, my angel, help me. And then 2 hands, huge hands, appear in my mind's eye, and they rest behind my forehead, and they land me so just gently and sweetly and protectively, and it's just like landing on little fluffy little feathers, you know. But of course, everyone's in a panic in that moment outside because they're in real time, and it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And David's like, ah, you know, because, oh my God, I'm mad at her, but I love her, you know. So, you know, and I'm hearing him in my ears saying, you know, stay conscious, stay conscious, stay conscious. But here's the thing. On that day, I was wearing my fake Ray-Bans. And, you know, they've got that bad metal steel. It's not even steel. I don't know what the hell it is. And it's been impaled into my skull. It missed my eye, no shattered anything. It could have taken my eye out. But that thing is literally like in my forehead. And if you've had head injuries, you know they bleed tremendously, right? So I mean, I'm like, so really, I'm hearing conscious, but in my mind I'm going, can you stop this blood from going in my I can't talk, but in my nose and my mouth, you know? So anyway, they take me to Santa Monica emergency room, and luckily for me, there's a very nice Jewish doctor. He's very funny. I do remember that. He's a funny guy. And he's like, you are so lucky that I am here today, because he's a plastic surgeon. And he's not just a plastic surgeon, he's a Los Angeles plastic surgeon. So I'm in good hands. And so he does like 100 micro stitches. And you guys that know me, you've seen my forehead. Do you see it? No. And as he's getting ready to put me out, he says, while I have you down, if you need any other augmentation. I'm like, excuse me? So anyway. When I recovered from that, I looked like a Klingon. Is that what they're called? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like my head, and my son, he's 3 years old at that point. When I come in the door, he just bursts out screaming and crying and is so heartbroken. Because, I mean, I'm yellow and I'm purple and, you know, and I've got the, you know, thank God for the Jewish doctor, because I would have been Frankenstein. I mean, that was what happened in the forehead. I recovered, but the thing that stayed with me was the prayer. Because I had not consciously prayed to my angel or angel since I was this big. My Catholic friends help me here. What is it? My guardian dear, to whom's God love. Remember that prayer? Commits me here. Does anybody remember it?
Angel of God, my guardian dear, by whom's God love. Commits me here. Never this night be at my side. Light the dark, to light the day.
To light the dark?
Light, to guard, to rule, and guide.
Yes, it's beautiful, right? But all I had said was, my angel, and I think I put an S, help me. It was the way that I said it. I said it like I've been talking to these angels every day, every moment, all my life, every second. Like you call your best friend when you're upset, and they know where you last left off, and they're going to pick up, and it's intimate, and it's familiar. That made an impression on me. The other thing was those hands. Now, 6 years before that, those of you that know me well, you know that I can be clairvoyant, and particularly in these altered states, and they're in the dream state in particular. 6 years before that, I have the most significant dream, you could say, that creates an arc, or what Jung would say, the big dream that really has something to say about my whole lifetime. And in that dream, it's 6 years before, I'm at another crossroads with another partner. Something about 6. And this partner is my young, loving husband, and we love each other dearly. But in this vision, he's walking me home. And I really don't want him to leave me. I want him to come with me, but it's clear that his path is not where mine is going. So he delivers me at this doorstep, and it's full of community. And they're like, hey, like, you know, she's here. And I don't know who they are, but they seem to know me, and they dress funny. And by that I mean, you know, they kind of wear robes, and I guess they look Hindu or something. But it seems to be clear that I'm kind of that too. And I'm like, really? Because I had never really read, or, you know, it was so familiar. So when I open the door, I go, oh, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. And it's a home like I've never, ever experienced, but that I want to experience in every moment and second of my life. And it's like, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. You know, it's like, sounds like home. And this place that is myself, in this home, there's a man embodied in the center. And I won't go with this, it's not a story about that, but I want to tell you there were 2 koans. Is that the word? K-O-A-N, K-O-A-N? Or fortune cookies that he gave me, that is a master. And I know now his name, I know who he is, and I know that he was an embodied angel in this lifetime. He would say, Buddha, I, and Jesus are one. This is a man who could do miracles, who could bring people back from the dead. You know, the usual saint in India, you know. So what he says to me when I enter that space is, I am the head doctor. And then he says, I work with epileptics. Wink, wink, wink. As in all-inclusive, including himself. So not only am I Hindu, I'm epileptic? I mean, going by what this dream is saying. Well, you know, when you have a head injury, epilepsy, epilepsia in Greek is seized, to take, something seizes you and takes you. seizure. But I didn't have seizures. I didn't have immediate neurological anything. But I've never forgotten. So I started to do some creative research on that. Epileptics, epileptic, seized. I understand that as an artist. Well, there's a different kind of epilepsy. There's temporal lobe epilepsy. Have you heard of that? I had not heard of that. For those of you that have not heard of that, temporal lobe epilepsy, you don't necessarily have seizures. It's got a broad spectrum. And in this spectrum, on one side is madness. Madness, we're talking, Van Gogh had temporal lobe epilepsy, where the light that comes in is so overwhelming and the color's so overly bright and the voices bleed through and it's like hallucination and voices, and then there's intensities like cutting his ear off and leaving it at the prostitute's door. In the center is high genius. Edgar Allan Poe. These are TLE people. Edgar Allan Poe, Alfred Tennyson, Charles Dickinson, Lewis Carroll, Michelangelo. The list goes on. And then on the far extreme, just read a statistic that most people on death row have temporal lobe disturbance. They had head injuries. Now here's the other thing about TLE, because obviously I am one of those. Mohammed had TLE. Moses had TLE. Sister Teresa de Avila had TLE. So these amazing, amazing visions. Burning bush, help me out here. Help me out, Aaron. What about Moses? What did he see? The burning bush. But not just the burning bush, these extraordinary, you know, I'm not up on my Bible. Come on, help me out. Girl, you're trumpets blowing, horses.
Horses with big eyes.
Okay, as you can tell, as I do the last story, I try to work it all in. Okay, I'm working it all in as best I can. But meaning, TLE people have started religions. They didn't mean to. They were just trying to hold themselves together. Now, here's another statistic. It says that to be human, most of you do have head trauma. Why? Because when you're born, you have to go through the first, you know, and each of you went in and out the different ways. Some of you didn't go at all. You were cesareans, you know, who knows? But what I'm saying is that our first encounter into the world is trauma. Head freaking trauma. I call it God's little hickey, you know? And not only that, it's like there's like a, think blacksmith, okay? God's like, okay, whatever this, it's like takes us and puts our little base metal and puts it in the fire and softens us up and then wham! Whatever the wuck is gonna be, right? Whether it's birth, whether it's assault, whether it's a softball. I get that those hammerings shape and give us form, and it's that special little twist that creates that light. Because for me, it came so close to the third eye that the light could get deeper and quicker inside of me to open up, right? Okay, now, where this is going, because we're kind of towards the end of the evening, is it, some of you that were here maybe about 4 months ago, I talked about how recently this story becomes relevant, because those of you that tell stories here, you know that when you're speaking it, it starts to come alive in a way that wants to shape you again, right? The story won't stay still. I mean, you have to learn it like an actor, to be or not to be. That doesn't happen at the living room so much. You just have to let it do you, and you can feel a little spazzed out here. Well, I've started to have a tremor on my right side. I was hit on the left side, so there's like a psychogenic tremor perhaps. Maybe it's connected, late blooming thing, I don't know. This thing is becoming something really interesting to me. This is where I'm gonna go. I'm looking at you, Amy, because I get a call. Amy calls me, raise your hand, girl, raise your hand. She calls me, I guess about 3-4 months ago. She's like, hi. She goes, this is gonna sound really strange, but I'm hosting some extraordinary guy. You know who I'm talking about. He's here to do a healing workshop. He's a healer. He has theater training like you. He's a dancer. In fact, he was a go-go male dancer in New York in a strip club. And he also ran a fetish club. But you know, he's actually sat with John of God, and John of God saw who he was and all that. He's a raw food guy. And so anyway, we were talking, and I mentioned the living room to him, and your name came up, and he goes, "Ah!" Right, no exaggeration, almost. He says, "Oh, I'm hearing that she's really connected to spirit, and I need to work with her." So as strange as that sounds, you know, you were so apologetic, you were so cute. She was like, do you want to meet him? I'm going, absolutely. That's how the best things in my life happen. When can we meet him? So we meet. We go to the restaurant, and he's awesome. Beautiful man. Sculpted. Oh, my God. Beautiful gay man. Just like, he sees me. It's like, oh, my God, we haven't seen each other in 300 centuries. It's like, oh, rapture. And then he lands on my feet. No exaggeration, right, Amy? He throws himself on my feet like I am my guru. I think. I'm not sure. This is at the restaurant, okay, with you all watching. And then his hand is trembling. He's got a tremor, and it's trembling. And he tells me fast things because they're coming to him really fast, and some of them are really true. We just met. And then we sit down. It's like, okay, what are you going to have? It's a Thai restaurant. What would you like to eat? And so we do that. Okay, well, we have the pad thai. And then he says, I had a tremor too before my gifts opened up. He pulled that one like a rabbit out of his. And I'm like, okay. So then he hears again, we order the pad thai, we eat the food, we're talking about the gay club, we're talking about it. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to need to do a session with you. Now, this man doesn't want money from me. He's not trying to hit me up for a gig because, you know, he's in Austin. He's just listening to spirit. At this point in the story, the video shuts off. The stories have run long that night at the living room, and the videographer has to change the video card. And as she's doing that change, I'm telling the audience that the healer shows up at my house. He asks me to make myself comfortable. I can either sit in meditation or lie on my back in meditation. And as I do that, he prays. I can't quite hear what he's doing, but he seems to be in motion around me. And then he says, you can open your eyes if you want at any point. And of course, even if I wanted to, I couldn't. The energy was so relaxing. And that's when I finally do hear him say, breathe. And I'm like, and I'm tracking him. I mean, wouldn't you? Because the first thing when he walks in the house, he's like, oh, it's so hot in here, and I really work with heat. Do you mind if I take my clothes off? Well, he said he's gay, so I'm like, sure. He meant his underwear, and he's beautiful. Because he was sweating. He goes into a lot of heat. And he has me close my eyes, and I do. And what feels like that softball that for me was that slow motion, and it was like this. It feels like he's with me 10 minutes, 2.5 hours later. And I hear sounds, and I hear things move through me, and I can't exactly tell you, I'm still working through it. But what he gifted me with was where I am in the hero's journey right now. Because I was just shown this week, and this is where the story ends for now. Where I am in my little selfie at the moment. And that is that I am being told through these, it's amazing when you said in the beginning was the word, the language was Facebook. Face your book. Face your book. That's what I was being told. And I was shown all the things that are in the way, but the main thing that was in the way was an Allen-like creature coming my way as if, baby, this is you that you're looking at, honey. And if you're going to be doing this work, you can't give up what's going to come out of your mouth next. You just got to do it. And because he does that at the drop of a hat. And what did I do? Daniel, I saw him coming, and I refused the call. I looked quickly for the step out of that place, and I took the stairs into the basement. But I know one thing, that when I wake up from that you can only refuse a call for so long, because your life starts to fall apart really fast. Things are taken away, and then there's that boom. So I'm just saying, come back next month and see where I am with... Because I don't know what it's going to be. I mean, seriously, folks. Seriously. Talk about wild card. This is the living room. I'm glad you're here. And please come back, and please bring the storytellers up here so they take a bow.